The following is a paid program.
About morality in public affairs. Morality in public affairs means when you have put yourself up to conduct public business, you have to subscribe to principles of morality and ethics, even if they are not written in law. Tonight I told you I want to speak to you about morality in public affairs. Morality in public affairs means when you have put yourself up to conduct public business, you have to subscribe to principles of morality and ethics, even if they are not written in law. Been in public life since 1980 on a PNM platform. I have been in Parliament since January 1987. I've fallen in love with a lot of girls.
I knew since I used to go to school, and to tell you the truth, I always used to like him since I go to school. But it used to be a secret something.
If you come forward into the political arena, come with clean hands. And once you are in the political arena, you are available to be questioned by every citizen of Trinidad and Tobago because you are managing their affairs.
Well, the time right now is about 4 minutes after the hour of 6 o'clock. Welcome to all and sundry. Good evening to each and every one of you. Welcome to the election platform with yours truly, the Gladiator. And the leader of the People's National Movement, Dr. Keith Rowley, in that clip I played, stated, if you come forward into the political arena, come with clean hands, and once you are in the political arena, you are available to be questioned by every citizen of Trinidad and Tobago because you are managing their affairs. Now, citizens of TNT, citizens of the Republic, it was in the months leading up to the general election in 1986 when rumors were spreading left, right, and center about a politician, a senior member of the PNM party, who had an extramarital affairs with a prostitute. Back then, the PNM refused to address the issue. When the matter was raised in the public domain, the PNM party refused to address the issue, and it cost the PNM the general election in 1986. It was in 1987 when the PNM, after losing the election, as a matter of fact, it was the same year, current political leader of the PNM party, Dr. Rowley, who was appointed a senator in the then opposition when the PNM formed the opposition to the Treaty 3. But I'm sure many of you would recall the scandal, the nasty scandal involving the then political leader of the People's National Movement Party. In the months leading up to the 1986 general election, in the year 1987, membership of the party started to raise the issue, and one of the issues they raised, causing the PNM to lose the election, was an issue involving the prostitute and the political leader of the People's National Movement. In a story published in the then Trinidad Guardian, thunder at PNM meeting, emotion runs high as Tesoro affairs debated. The reporter back then was Cleveland Raphael. He was then the political reporter of the Trinidad Guardian. And let me read an excerpt from that Guardian newspaper in the year 1987. The Tesoro scandal allegedly involving former Prime Minister George Chambers produced some thunder at yesterday's monthly General Council meeting of the People's National Movement. At an unusually lengthy session at the party's Balize House headquarters, members were divided on whether the PNM, of which Mr. Chambers was political leader until December the 15th general election, which the party lost to the National Alliance for Reconstruction, should issue a statement yesterday on the matter. According to the Wall Street Journal, Tesoro Chairman Robert West instructed his investment banker to hire a prostitute, preferably a blonde, for the then Minister of Finance of Trinidad and Tobago 12 years ago. Who was raising a tax matter that threatened to cut into the profits of the company. The encounter was reportedly made in Canada between the minister and the blonde prostitute. At yesterday's meeting, which saw several members walking out, including former State Enterprise Minister Ronnie Williams, because of the heated debate, emotion ran high on the subject matter. But at the end, almost 3 p.m., the party's General Secretary, Alvin Kwamina, issued a statement which stressed that the General Council took note of the statement attacks being levied at the party in the area of morality in public affairs, reaffirming the PNM's commitment to the principles of integrity in public life as stated in the People's Charter and the Chaguaramas Declaration. The statement stated. Now, I can go on reading the story written by Cleveland Raphael back then in the year 1987. But the point I wish to make this evening, that was one area that caused the PNM to lose the election in 1986. Because when the Tesoro scandal and the issue of the blonde prostitute was raised, the mentality back then, in the months leading up to the general election, those study that the PNM will win the election because this is PNM country. Who is we leader? Is Georgie we leader? And the public don't give a damn whether he had sex with a blonde prostitute. It brings to mind the statement of Dr. Sheila Rampasad. It is generally accepted now that personal background, close examination of politicians' past and how those past might affect their present and future are acceptable areas of media scrutiny. I want to play a clip, and I want the listening public to listen carefully to this clip. We're going to load on the music, the background music, and I want you to hear this clip very carefully. Listen to this clip.
I knew since I used to go to school, and to tell you the truth, I always used to like him since I go to school. But that is just, it used to be a secret something.
I want you to play over that clip again.
I knew him since I used to go to school, and to tell you the truth, I always used to like him since I go to school. But that is just, it used to be a secret something.
That is the voice of Roslyn Allen. That voice is the mother of Garth Allen. Yesterday in part 1 of my editorial, because today is part 2. Today is part 2. I entitled my editorial, "Have You Had Sex With Her?" And to this day, the leader of the PNM party has bluntly refused to come to the public and clear the air whether he had sex with Roslyn Allen. To this day, the leader of the PNM party has not cleared the air as to whether Garth Allen is his son. But it's an allegation that Garth Allen is his son. In that clip I played a while ago, and let me play it one more time before I proceed. One more time.
I knew since I used to go to school, and to tell you the truth, I always used to like him since I went to school. But that is just, it used to be a secret something.
I always knew him since I go into school. And to tell the truth, I always like him. Now, citizens of TNT, I want to open the lines very early o'clock because I want to know if many of you who listen to that clip understand and can decipher what this lady, Rosalind Allen, is saying about Dr. Keith Rowley, who has not sued Rosalind Allen for making that statement. Because that statement is a very serious statement. The numbers are 222-8255. What are your views of that statement made by Rosalind Allen? And I will just take 7 calls. And then I'm going to proceed. I will just take 7 calls. But before we take the first caller, let's play that clip one more time.
I knew since I used to go to school, and to tell you the truth, I always used to like him since I went to school. But that is just, it used to be a secret something.
It used to be a secret. Good evening, caller.
Hello?
Good evening.
Hi, good evening. I'm calling from Santa Cruz.
Good
It was
evening.
a secret Hello?
Good evening.
Hi, good evening. I'm calling from Santa Cruz.
Good
It was
evening.
a secret something, and I always liked him since I was going to school. So we want to know, was this affair going on for a little while?
And
You
San-
understand?
and Santa
because
Cruz-
it was a secret something.
Santa
Thank you.
Cruz, Santa Cruz, before you go,
Yeah?
how can a school girl
Uh-huh.
be making a statement like that to an adult? A person who's an adult who passed the age of 20 years.
Uh-huh.
How, I mean, don't you find it strange that a
It is
school
very strange, Gladiator, because he was the dean of discipline. He was the dean of discipline. And if that had happened today, he would have been in jail. Because we are seeing where a lot of people are being charged now because it is called statutory rape. You cannot have an affair with a school child. It is against the law.
And you hear it from the horse's mouth.
That's right. So he can deny it how much he wants. He can try and avoid it how much he wants. It is there. The evidence is there. It was a secret something. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. I would, well, Santa Cruz, she come very nice. Let me see how many people understand. I'm taking 6 more calls. Good evening.
Glady,
Good evening, yeah.
from what I gather with that clipping that you played here, I recognize that she was a school student while he was a teacher, and that is how the whole thing boiled down there. So it all happened when she was a student at the school, and he was a teacher at the time attending that school.
Thank you. 5 more calls. Good evening, caller.
Thank you.
Good evening, caller.
Yes, good evening, Gladiator. Point sorted.
Yes.
Gladiator, you will be a very successful lawyer. Because, you know, after all this has been revealed, I find no lawyer in Trinidad and Tobago has taken on this matter. Because you remember part of that tape also, she said that just before she reached 18, she had gapped, right? If I'm correct.
Yes.
Right? And if she said also is saying that it was a secret something while she was in school, right? It had to be that this man was in this affair with this woman for a very long time. And I don't know if it is because it's Dr. Rowley, and based on the relationship that he has with both the print and the electronic media, everybody is free to ask him a question and go down into this matter like how you have gone and root out this thing, right? And according responding to Santa Cruz just now, if this is so, then it is statutory rape that he has committed, and this don't go away. Right, so Gladiator, I looked on and listened, very well done, and I'm glad you are the person who to reveal this through proper examination of that conversation and that tape that the PNM has revealed to save his soul. So,
thank you. Now, before I take the next call, now people, I am not responsible for the recording. The PNM, the Women's League, they are the one who came to the public with that recording. So don't blame Gladiator. I am not responsible for the recording. I am just dissecting. I am just applying deductive reasoning. We are just applying forensic analysis. Good evening, caller. Good evening. Good evening, caller. Next caller. I'll take 4 more calls. Good evening, caller.
Anita,
yes.
This was a secret something the woman enunciated. It means to say quite clearly that the woman knew that she was underage. Otherwise, she would have never said that this was a secret something. I looked on and listened also.
Thank you very much. 3 more callers. Good evening, caller.
Good evening, Gladiator.
Good evening.
Now we reach, I come from Belmont. Now we reach immorality in public affairs. And there's it going to, because as the caller said a while ago, we don't know when this thing started. And this is what I always ask the question. What age was the lady, or the young girl, when it all started? And if Mr. Dr. Rowley is saying he had to come with clean hands, we have to clear up all those things and let the public know if they want to vote for him, so we must know the character we are going to vote for.
Thank you very much.
Vote for him, but I want to know the character of the gentleman.
Thank you very much. Good evening, caller. Good evening, caller. Next caller. Good evening, caller.
Yes, hello, good afternoon.
Good evening.
Yeah. The man in that long time.
Thank you. And I'll just take 1 more caller. Good evening, caller.
Pleasant evening, Brother Gladiator. Tabakit here.
Yes, you heard the tape, right?
Loud and clear. Look, let's call a spade here. It's a clear indication Dr. Rowley had an affair with this girl as a school girl. As a teacher, Dr. Rowley had an affair with this girl. It is clear as crystal water. Tabakit out and over.
Thank you very much. Now let me play that over, because I know some of you, I know the PNM people outside there who want to bash Gladiator will say, no, like the Gladiator doctored that tape. He doctored this. You will have people like Porter Spain saying, Gladiator doctored that. I didn't doctor it at all. Balizé House via the Women's League, they came bold and brave. And they played that. And you know what I did? I recorded it. Because I know down the road, I have to listen it over and over and be able to decipher, because there was something wrong in that clip, something wrong in that tape, in that Rosalind Allen wanted to tell the public something that Balizé House did not want to tell the public at all. Let's hear that clip 1 more time without the music background.
I knew since I used to go to school, and to tell you the truth, I always used to like him since I went to school.
Stop right there. Stop right there. I used to know him since I going to school. And to tell you the truth, that means she didn't say to tell you a lie, to mislead the public. She said to tell you the truth. I always used to like him. Play it again. Play it again.
I knew him since I used to go to school, and to tell you the truth, I always used to like him since I went to school. But that is just, it used to be a secret something.
A secret something. Now, what it is, a young girl going to school and entertaining a love affair, a love relationship with an adult. She is a minor. What it is that could persuade that young girl, that girl who's a minor, who's underage, to even entertain the idea, the thought of having a love relationship with a man who is not a minor, who is not 3 months older than her, but who is an adult. According to the allegation, that person was no other person but Dr. Keith Rowley. Not Gladiator saying it. Rosalind Allen is making that pronouncement to the nation. Now, as I said in my opening of the editorial, the People's National Movement lost the election because they underestimated the population. They underestimated the population back then in the 80s when the 1985 general election came about, 86 general election came about, and when the party was called upon to address the issue of the blonde prostitute who Chambers had an affair with 12 years back. Now remember, the years I'm talking about, 12 years. In 1986, when the matter was confronted by the Balize House, by PNM, I was around that time, and the issue was raised. It was on all platforms, and they had called upon George Chambers to address the issue of the blonde prostitute in the Tesoro scandal. This Rowley scandal, and I label it Rowley scandal, and why I label it Rowley scandal, let me explain why. To this day, Rowley has not come to the public to address the issue surrounding the relationship with himself and Rosalind Allen. The only person who came to the public to address that issue, even though it was managed, stage managed, was Rosalind Allen and her son, Gart Allen. Citizens of TNT, my editorial today, the title of my editorial today is that Rowley is not fit to be the country's next prime minister. I say this because a repeat of 1986, a repeat of the Tesoro scandal is happening once again with the People's National Movement Party. There are those who say when the PNM lost the election in 1986, there are those within the party who said Chambers should not have put himself forward as leader of the PNM party and to lead the PNM in the 1986 general election, knowing that he was in a scandal involving a blonde prostitute. If you all feel I'm lying, go back and do your research. And I'm sure many of you will recall back in the days, in the months leading up to the 1986 election, the blonde prostitute scandal was in the air on every street, every corner. And there are those within the PNM who was trying to avoid the issue. They didn't want it to be debated. And it's only when the PNM lose the election, then people start to point fingers and put blame on this one, that one. They even put the blame on Chambers himself. Because the party said they adhere to a charter of morality in public affairs. Let's play clip number 5.
been in public life since 1980 on a PNN platform. I have been in Parliament since January 1987. I've fallen in love with a lot of girls.
Play that clip over one more time.
I have been in public life since 1980 on a PNN platform. I have been in Parliament since January 1987. I've fallen in love with a lot of girls.
I have no problem with that, Rowley. I have no problem with that. But this is an issue involving a minor. And you seek public office, and you seek to be the next prime minister. And all we are asking you, clear the air. Clear the air. Tell us, tell the nation, tell the voters, tell the undecided voters who want to know before it is too late. Tell us whether, according to Rosalind Allen, you had an affair, a love affair, with a schoolgirl. Because it's not I saying it, it's Rosalind Allen saying it. And let's play that track. If you have any doubt, let's play that track again.
I knew since I used to go to school, and to tell you the truth, I always used to like him since I went to school. But that is just, it used to be a secret something.
It used to be a secret. And I'm going to say, the key to that statement is that since she going to school, and this brings the question this afternoon, should a person who had sex with a minor while they were going to school vie for public office to be our next prime minister? The lines are open. Should Dr. Rowley, let me make it more specific. And I start with the proposition. If Dr. Rowley, if Dr. Rowley had sex with a minor, a girl who was still going to school, should he, Dr. Rowley, put himself up to seek the office of Prime Minister? You call in 222-8255. Good evening. Good evening.
Yeah, good afternoon. I'm a first-time caller.
Yes.
I just want to ask a quick
hello, wait. Let's slow down the arm. Yeah, go ahead, caller. I pose a question. Caller? Yes.
First-time caller. If Mr. Keith Rowley do not acknowledge that he had intercourse with the then child, with the woman that you assuming that he have a child with, what I have to ask a question is Ms. Rosalind Allen, the Virgin Mary.
I don't see the relevance of that.
Bola, rock up.
Yeah, I don't see the relevance of that. Good evening, caller.
Bola, rock up.
Yeah, I don't see.
Right. Next caller. Yeah, good evening, caller.
Yeah, good evening. I heard your clip twice. I just heard it twice. Very interesting. But what was it? Allen just said that she used to like him since she went to school. I don't know. There are many school girls who have a crush on their teacher, on a male teacher. I don't know that because she said I used to like him since I went to school.
Are you looking
that they had an affair?
Okay, well, thank you, caller. I mean, look for a loophole out. Or you could come and try and look for a loophole out, what have you. At the end of the day, it is not Gladiator saying it. it is Rosalind Allen who is making the claim. Not Gladiator making the claim. Rosalind Allen making the claim. And don't bring back the same situation in the 1980s when the PNM buried their head in the sand, and when they were called upon Chambers to step aside and put somebody else as leader of the party to carry the party into the general election, they ignore it. And it's only after the PNM lose the election, then people start to put blame and say, Chambers should have go, he should have never go up at all. The question is, if Rowley had any affairs with a minor, a school girl, should he put himself up to be the next prime minister of this country? And that's a simple question. That's a simple question. The numbers are 222-8255. Good evening, caller.
Good evening, Gladiator
Yes, Belmont.
Belmont here, and I am saying no, you should not even be going up for election.
Thank you. The party pride itself of being a party of morality and integrity. Good evening, caller.
Good afternoon.
Good evening.
I say that. Good afternoon. She never said she had an affair with him. She said she loved him.
You didn't hear any question at all. Let me pose the question, and let me play over that clip again. You see, the thing about it is that y'all, 1 minute before we play that clip, y'all want to hear the Rosalind Allen say, I love him, for you to understand there could have been a sexual relationship. Eh? What is school girl entertaining in their mind, in their psyche, a love affairs with an adult? Eh? And at the end of the day, that same schoolgirl bring forth a child of the same man. What y'all trying to spin? Y'all want to go to Justice Sebastian Venter to get a spin and him to say come with some kind of legal excuse? That is the same woman, even if she said like, it is the same woman who came back and admit that God Allen is her child. And who is the father of that child? The PNM came out, not Gladiator. They came out and said, that father is Dr. Keith Rowley. I mean, what more again y'all want? All I'm doing is asking a question. If it is that Rowley had a relationship with a minor, with a schoolgirl, should he be putting himself up to be the prime minister of this country? I mean, what else again y'all want?
I knew since I used to go to school, and to tell you the truth, I always used to like him since I went to school. But that is just, it used to be a secret something.
Stop right there before I take the call. I always used to like him. There is a communication when you apply deductive reasoning on a balance of probability. On a balance of probability, there is a relationship based on what Rosalind Allen said. What more do you expect from that? That is the same girl who came and bear a child for Dr. Rowley. Wait a minute, you have to be a rocket scientist to understand what the lady is saying. But she's making the statement. And to this day, Rowley has not come forward to clear the air as to whether he had a relationship with a school girl. A school girl. And the question is, if in fact Rowley did have a relationship with a school girl, a minor, should Rowley be putting himself up to be the country's next prime minister? Let's take the calls. Let's take the calls. Good evening, caller.
Good afternoon.
Next caller, next caller, next caller. You see, that's the same thing what happened in the 1980s. They the same thing what happened in the 1980s. Next caller, next caller, next caller. You see, that's the same thing what happened in the 1980s. They the same thing what happened in the 1980s. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Yes.
No. And it is easy to clear up. Get a birth certificate, take 9 months.
Next caller.
Good evening again.
Good evening, Tabakit.
Gladiator.
Tabakit, is my question. Tabakit, is my question difficult for people to understand?
At all. And I'm saying here, you talking about someone who wants to be the next Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes.
Listen to me, Brother Gladiator. In no other country, the media would have not have mercy on this opposition leader. And I am saying here, the journalists and them in this country are jokers. This is a serious issue. And all on sundry must let the voice be heard. And I, Tabakit, is making a clarion call to all citizens. This is a crisis. This is something you're talking flying in the face of our education system. What does it say about our leaders? And I am saying here, no stone must be left unturned. I am saying this here now call, it must be exposed to its highest degree. Tabakit out and off.
Thank you very much. Before we take the next caller, callers, bear with me. If a schoolgirl, citizens of the Republic, is making that statement, she always knew Rowley when she was going to school. And she always had a like for Rowley. And that same schoolgirl who making that statement some months later happened to bear a child for the same man she always knew and she always liked. Deductively, there was a direct contact between the girl, the schoolgirl, and Dr. Rowley. Unless Rowley come to the public and clearly and say there was never a direct contact. Today he has not come to the nation and clearly on that. Rosalind Allen is telling the public that there was a communication based on her statement. Play that clip one more time.
I knew since I used to go to school, and to tell you the truth, I always used to like him since I went to school. But that is just, it used to be a secret something.
I always used to like him since I going to school. I always used to like him since I going to school, and that led to sex. That led to sex. And my point, my question is, if Rowley had sex with a schoolgirl, if he had sex with a minor, should Rowley, in all moralistic integrity manner, should he offer himself to be this country's next prime minister? Let's go back to the lines and take calls. Let's clear up those lines. Good evening, caller. Good evening.
Good evening, Gladiator. Hello.
Yes, good evening.
Yes, good evening. Hello, good evening.
Next caller, because like you all have to get accustomed to the phones. Good evening, caller.
Hello, Gladiator.
Next caller, because like you all have to get accustomed to the phones. Good evening, caller.
Hello, Gladiator.
Good evening.
You remember? Hello.
Next caller. Good evening, caller.
Gladiator, are you bipolar?
Next caller. No, you see, look how I proving my point. No longer does the PNM want to address the issue of morality in public affairs? Let's play what Rowley said. Let's play track 1. What Rowley said.
I want to speak to you about morality in public affairs. Morality in public affairs means when you have put yourself up to conduct public business, you have to subscribe to principles of morality and ethics, even if they are not written in law.
Are we going to throw that out the window? Must Rowley preach morality in public affairs and don't practice it? My leader, Dr. Keith Rowley, Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley, he is the one who preaching about morality in public affairs. Let's play the next track.
I have been in public life since 1980 on a PNN platform. I have been in Parliament since January 1987. I've fallen in love with a lot of girls.
I knew since I used to go to school, and to tell you the truth, I always used to like him since I went to school. But that is just, it used to be a secret something.
If you come forward to the political arena, come with clean hands. And once you are in the political arena, you are available to be questioned by every citizen of Trinidad and Tobago because you are managing their affairs.
Now, what is this secret affairs between Rosalind Allen and Dr. Keith Rowley? Is she saying it? If I am speaking about the secret affairs, I'm only repeating what Rosalind Allen is saying. Rowley has not come forward and said, well, what Rosalind Allen is saying is a total lie. She is the one who's saying that it was a secret affairs. It was a secret affairs. Not Gladiator. Let's clear the lines. Good evening, caller.
Good day, Gladiator.
Good evening.
Good day, Gladiator.
Yes.
If it was secret, right? Why don't clear up the secret? The hypocrisy of the man wants to claim morality on the platform,
yes,
but not to claim morality in his life. So he wants to have different rules and moving the goalposts as he sees convenient for the PNM.
Thank you.
That's the example that we want as a Prime Minister.
Thank you. The girl is saying it was a secret affair between herself and Rowley. I am not saying it. Good evening, caller.
Yes, Gladiator.
Yes, dealing with Jimmy. I'm not dealing with Jimmy Swaggart at all. I'm not dealing with Jimmy Swaggart. I'm dealing with a school dealing with Jimmy. I'm not dealing with Jimmy Swaggart at all. I'm not dealing with Jimmy Swaggart. I'm dealing with a school girl who said it was a secret affair between herself and Rowley. And all I'm saying, Rowley must clear the air on that. Otherwise, sue Rosalind Allen. Rosalind Allen is saying that there was a secret affair. She was a school girl. And she said she always knew Rowley when she was going to school. I am not saying that. Look, let me play over that because people need to, let me play track 3. Let me play track 3 because people need to get that into the psyche.
I knew since I used to go to school, and to tell you the truth, I always used to like him since I went to school. But that is just, it used to be a secret something.
It used to be a secret. That is a bold, profound statement. It used to be a secret. Now, what can we deduce from that? Or maybe let me see if anybody could understand that from the listening public. If Rosalind Allen is saying it used to be a secret, I'm taking calls on this one here. What do you gather from that? What do you gather from that? It used to be a secret. Good evening, caller. Rosalind Allen said it used to be a secret. What do you understand by that?
Good evening, caller. Good evening.
Yes.
Good evening.
Yes.
Yes, but I feel, the girl also said she was 17 at the time. I don't feel like that. The girl also said she was 17 at the time. I find you trying.
No, next caller. No, next caller. You see, your feel, your.
I find you trying.
No, next caller. No, next caller. You see, your feel, you're taking stupidness to make it intelligent, but it don't make sense at all. She was 17 when she brought forth Garth Allen into the world. So what happened? She just fall from heaven just and became 17. So she was not 16. She was not 15. She was not 14. She was not 13 at all. She was not going to school all the time. So Rosalind Allen leapfrog and skip all those years and she became 17. If it's this thing that you're trying to spin, you cannot spin it at all, Y'all cannot spin it at all. Good evening, caller. Good evening.
Good evening again, Gladiator. Belmont here.
Yes, Belmont.
It was a secret affair, so nobody knows when it started. So we could deduce from anything.
And that's the whole thing about it.
Way back from what time? So we have to know when it all started.
And we want to know because Rowley is a public figure. Rowley is a public figure. And he is vying to be the country's next prime minister. And he has no private life here anymore at all. His life must be made public. And what he did in the past must come to the public. A woman is saying that there was a secret affairs while she was going to school. She didn't start to go to school for 1 year and finish school 1 year at the age of 17. We want to know what was this secret affairs. I didn't say it. Rosalind Allen said it. Good evening, caller. Good evening, caller. Good evening.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Gladiator.
Good evening.
Yes. What the lady is explaining is that she see Dr. Rowley, right? She always knew him, like when she was going to school, and she liked him now, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that they were together at that time.
All right, thank you. Thank you. You see? Yeah, look at that. Good evening, caller. Good evening. Next caller. That is too much noisy. Good evening, caller. I mean to say.
Yeah, good evening, Gary. I recognize plenty of the callers and I'm calling in and trying to spin this thing all out.
But they cannot spin it at all.
All how they're trying to spin it.
Because if, thank you. Yeah.
It's so simple, it is clear as daylight. You understand? This young lady could be having an affair with Dr. Keith Rowley since she was either 14, 15. You understand? Because she had a child when she was 17. You understand? So it was an affair that was going on a long time. And it's not now we hearing this. And we're calling on Dr. Keith Rowley to come out and answer these allegations. And he's not doing that.
Thank you. If one is to argue the point that there was no relationship, no love affairs, no sexual relationship before she became 17 or what have you, how it is overnight when she becomes 17, sex took place. Does that make sense? On a balance of probability, sex could have been taking place, but we do not know. We do not know. It's questions that we are asking. And why must the nation, why must the people, why must the public speculate? When all what Rowley has to do is come to the public and clear the air as to this secret affairs with Rosalind Allen. Let's clear the lines. Let's clear the lines. Good evening,
Hello, good afternoon.
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening to the panel and the listeners. Now, I am not a fan of Dr. Rowley or the PNN period. But when I listen to that, what I am hearing the lady saying that she liked him, but it was a secret kind of something, meaning that she didn't come out and tell him that she liked him, right? Because there are many schoolgirls who are infatuated by the male teachers is a normal thing. It's true life.
Yeah, but
what
somebody...
the male teachers should do is keep away from the young girls.
Wait, 1 minute.
And put yourself in a position to compromise yourself.
No, caller, 1 minute, please. 1 minute, please. No, let me dialogue with you.
Mm-hmm.
If it was like that, let us say I am to buy into what you are saying. How is it the same girl, the same school girl, who is making that pronouncement, and according to you, she doesn't mean that she had any sexual relationship with Dr. Rowley, either when she was 13 or 14 or 15 or 16 or what have you. How is it that she became 17 and sex took place and she bring forth a child for Rowley?
I am not going to make excuses, so that is where the story gets sticky. Right?
No, you see, no, you can't. Which is
what I was saying just now. No,
you see,
shouldn't put themselves in a position where they can compromise themselves. So clearly, someone put themselves in a position.
No, you go on already. And this is the point I'm trying to make. It does not make sense. A girl liking a person all them years, no contact, because this is what you'll want to tell me. There was no physical contact while she was underage, but physical contact overnight took place when she became 17. Come on, people, are you taking me for a fool? You want to tell me that when she was 16 years, when she was 15 years, when she was 14 years, when she was 13 years, there was no contact, no talking, no discussion, no communication, but overnight, the same girl who said that she knew Rowley when she was going to school, and she always liked Rowley, and who also claimed it was a secret affairs. All of a sudden, she became 17 years old, and sex took place just like that. And y'all want to sell that to me? That is what y'all trying to spin to Gladiator? Next caller. Good evening, caller.
Yeah, good evening, Gladiator.
Good evening to you.
Gladiator, the fact that it had to be kept a secret is an admittance that the whole romance was illegal. Thank you.
Well, look what this gentleman just said. And this is what I've been hoping that somebody could explain what she meant when she said it was a secret affairs.
Hello?
Good evening, caller.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Gladiator, Wayne Sturge said that Wayne Sturge said that even though at that time, 1995, the law was amended to suit to show that 16 years is concerned, but at that time that happened, that the law was 18 years. 18 years. So even though he still broke the law at 17.
Thank you, but I am not even dealing with that. The caller before you made it clear. The mere reason that it was a secret affairs is because one can assume that there could have been sexual or repeated sexual encounter while she was at a particular period of age. And that must not reach out to the public domain, but we can keep that quietly, we can keep that between ourselves, secretly, and not to let Tom, Dick, and Harry know about it. We need to know, what if she had gotten pregnant and she had also aborted a child, because at the time she got pregnant, she could have been 13 years, she could have been 14 years, she could have been 15 years. Because according to what Rosalind Allen said, it was a secret affair between herself and Rowley. And that's why the question is, if Rowley had sex with a minor, should he be offering himself to be the country's next prime minister? I am saying if the answer to that question is yes, I am saying he must not be this country's next prime minister if he had sex with a minor. Until tomorrow, Barry Garcia is going to be with yours truly, the Gladiator, tomorrow. I'm out of here.
That was a paid program. Make informed decisions this election with your voice and your vote. Power 102, where the real power is.